You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
Time to check in with James Mennie of the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, the REM has been humming good grief. What hasn't it been plagued with? First it was ugly, then it was above ground instead of underground, and now it's making a horrific amount of noise, especially for residents in Griffintown. So you're saying, what if the clientele for the REM goes MIA? So you suspect people just might not use it?
Listen, I grew up on the South Shore, and I lived, I bought my first house, I was living on the South Shore, and I am no stranger to public transit in that area. And even when I was a kid and then as an adult, and even to this very day, there are some bus lines out on the South Shore where you only will get service once an hour outside of rush hour. Mm-hmm. That said, rush hours, they had really improved things in the area. And I can recall, and this was back in the 80s and 90s, and it continued up until the advent of the REM, is a lot of people sort of west of the Longueuil Metro were able to enjoy a bus service, which in many cases was no more than 2 or 3 blocks away from your home. You got on the bus. From that moment, if you got a seat, you sat down, you opened your book. The bus would take you on a reserved lane across the then Champlain Bridge, mm-hmm. and deposit you onto La Gauchetière. And the thing was perfect. It was marvelous. Yes, it was subject to the weather, but on the other hand, it was ridiculously reliable. And it worked so well that when they opened the big terminal, the bus terminal on Panama in Brossard, they decided to have a day-long shuttle service going across the Champlain Bridge because people just thought it was a great way to get downtown. All of that is gone now because of the REM. And this is not some surprise. This was announced when they announced the REM itself, that any parallel public transit service would be eliminated because apparently the REM figured, you know what, we're not a non-profit organization. We want to be on our own. We don't want to have any competition. Mm-hmm. That said, we have a situation now where I'm concerned that, and as a long-time user of public transit, you keep people on public transit when you make it easy, when it is not a huge change in their lives. To access the REM, which is going to run basically between Brossard and downtown, there'll be bus routes for the RTO, the local transit authority, routed there. You can also bring your car there. Maybe you'll get a parking spot, maybe you won't, depending on the popularity of it. But already there are people complaining that this is just too damn complicated. Yes. They don't want to have, if they're going to have 2 stops to go on, they may as well just take their car, which seems sort of counterintuitive. But on the other hand, if you figure, okay, well, if you take your car to the park and go, there's some instances where you're going to have to pay for parking, others where you don't. But once again, you got to figure, well, I hope I got a parking spot. I'm detecting a certain amount of guesswork here, and this is to a certain extent an experiment. This has never been tried before, certainly not in the Montreal area, and we're trying to figure out here. There's going to be a big inauguration tomorrow. Trudeau, Legault, Valerie Plante, they're all going to be there. It's all going to be, a bold new tomorrow. But I have a real concern, especially on the South Shore, that a lot of people may just turn around and say, unless this is made, a lot more easy for me to access, I am, not going to use it. Mm-hmm. It's easier for me to just hop in my car. If I'm going to pay for parking, I'll go downtown and pay for my parking. The other thing as well, and this is something that's only beginning to emerge now, when I covered City Hall years and years ago, you become despite yourself, you become a total nerd covering City Hall. And I learned about something called TOD, which is transit-oriented development. And it looked fine on the planning board. You would build residences and whatever. You would develop around transportation hubs. But already there are folks in Brossard who are up in arms saying, we've been here, we don't all of a sudden need skyscraper condos because of the REM. Same problem in Nuns Island. They're concerned that the existence of the REM will lead, ironically, to an increase in the amount of vehicle traffic
yes.
In their area, simply because people will probably be trying to get to the station, go to the park and go. A lot of unknowns here. And if it was a private venture, I'd say, well, good luck to you. You're swinging for the fences. The thing is, lest we forget, this is our pension money. So this thing had better fly, because if it doesn't, I won't even say the crash landing will be devastating enough. As you mentioned at the start, Natasha, the delays, the complaints. This thing has been proceeding under something of a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if I'm going to sound very kind of, like a Luddite, but I'm not entirely sure there are a lot of people out there who will be comfortable getting on a train that crosses a bridge, that crosses a river, and has no driver.
I think that's an absolutely fair point. I'm thinking about a woman I heard on this radio station just the other day who was saying that her commute, because of the lack of those express buses now, her commute is going to take her 3 times as long. Yeah. And it's going to cost something, I can't remember, but I think she said like way more because of the cost for to park at if she doesn't take the bus, then to park at the station and then to buy her pass to get all the way to where she needs to go. So it just wasn't making sense. She's like, of course I'm going to take my car. So there's no way that she's alone in this. Are they going to fix it? Are they listening, and are they going to rectify this situation?
Well, my question is, how can they? They figured this all. And once again, here it's one of the biggest problems in Quebec. Oh, it looks great on paper. Let's do it.
Free parking. So let's start with that. Make free parking at the stations.
Good luck with that, because I'm pretty sure the case is not going to underwrite free parking. But maybe in fact the government will have to do it to keep this thing afloat. As I say, I wish them well. But I have a bad feeling about this one. I have a feeling that the bottom line here is, people will take it, but nowhere near as many people as they thought they would. And in fact, if it turns out, with all the other issues surrounding the whole REM network, if this single stretch becomes the focal point of the REM, in other words, from Brossard to downtown, man, oh man, they're going to have problems trying to sell the rest of it.
Never a dull moment. So listen, earlier today we spoke with Pablo Rodriguez, our new transport minister, and I also met the Montrealer, the rookie who's just gotten her position yesterday, our new tourism minister, Soraya Martinez Ferrada. And I talked to them a little bit about the fact that, the Abacus poll saying that Quebec is the only place where they have 30% approval, 10 points ahead of the Conservatives. You say there's yet another bad poll for them. What's the latest?
Yeah, it's remarkable, because we were talking about this yesterday, Natasha, and I said, listen, one poll does not make a trend. It could be an outlier. And this morning I wake up and our good friend Philippe Fournier, who's a poll aggregator and the founder of 338 Canada, got his hands on a Léger poll, which was it was in the field in early July, a little before the Abacus. And the findings are virtually identical. The Liberals, instead of being 10 points behind an Abacus, they're 9 points behind the Conservatives nationally. And the picture in Quebec is, yes, they're only behind the Bloc Québécois by 3 points. The Bloc Québécois is leading with 31. But the Conservatives, according to Léger, are breathing down their neck. They've got 25% support in Quebec, which is unheard of. Now, maybe it's 2 outliers, Natasha, but when you see numbers like this, you got to figure something's up, which would do a lot, I think, to explain this, what I described as this Hail Mary desperation play cabinet shuffle. And I think, everybody in cabinet, new or old, and I think the rank and file of the caucus know that it's not sunny ways anymore. And, on the one hand, they're saying we have to be ready for an election. If they hold an election, honestly, this year, they'll be blown to smithereens.
I agree.
They may try it in the spring of next year, but not unless these numbers get better. But look at this, and all it is the status quo. All it is, basically, as far as I'm concerned, is the focusing of a lot of public resentment on Justin Trudeau.
And so we talked yesterday about, this cabinet shuffle being a move to put some newbies in place to kind of bolster him and have people not just toe the party line. I got a lot of texts from people saying we don't care about the cabinet shuffle. It means nothing to us. So if that is, the sentiment, surely it's done nothing in terms of renewing the faith people might have in this government.
Well, I don't often quote Pierre Poilievre, and regular listeners will know that I'm not a fan. But what he said this week about the one minister who needs to go is named Justin Trudeau. I'm 100% behind him. I think that if the federal Liberals are in huge trouble, and I truly believe they are, there's only one person to blame, and it's nobody in cabinet.
And then it should be Chrystia Freeland?
Stepping into that? From your mouth to the chief electoral officer's ear.
All right. Always a pleasure, Jim. Thanks for your time.
Adama.